Then, second one is on computers and the spiritual life. I must say I don't know anything about computers at all. I once saw Vajrabodhi playing with one. When I went to visit him at his technical university in Helsinki, he said, just come along and let me introduce you to my computers. He had a sort of master computer in his private study, which controlled many other computers in a big, I don't know what you call it. It wasn't a laboratory. If it's chemistry, you call it a laboratory. But if it's physics, I don't know what you call it. But anyway, it was enormous. I think bigger than the shrine room, and it was filled with all sorts of things. And so he took me around introducing me to his computers and playing with them a bit. And he said, they get a bit dull or a bit tired or fed up, in the lunchtime. He said, I just come in and play with my computers. He says, it's really fascinating what they do. So anyway, this question is about computers and the spiritual life. So computer technology could be of great use within the Friends, in that it could free people from time-consuming and largely boring work. However, it would be very difficult for the operation to be economically viable. Where do our priorities lie? Could free people from time-consuming and largely boring work. I'm a bit doubtful about all that. For instance, when you're freed from this time-consuming and boring work, what do? All right, supposing your work is, what should we say, a bricklayer. You get plenty of exercise. That's right. So you get a computer to do your bricklaying for you. I presume it can be done by computer or computer control. So right, since you're not bricklaying anymore, you need exercise. So what do? Instead of carrying bricks, you go and do weightlifting. So from that, in that sort of way, what's the gain? There's not much point, it seems to me, in getting something done by mechanical means, which takes away, in a sense, an essential part of your life, which you then have to replace, as it were, artificially. Well, I've given a crude example, but you see the sort of thing I'm getting at. Should we be so interested in labour-saving devices? Do labour-saving devices necessarily conduce to human happiness, welfare, and individual development? There are some works, perhaps, that a human being ought not to do, which may or may not be necessary to be done from a human point of view. Well, if they are, let them by all means be done by machinery, by computer. The other day, where were we? Yes, we were in Hastings, and we just dropped into a supermarket just to pick up one or two items. And right in front of me, there was a woman with a big wire basket, and she'd done her shopping for the weekend. She'd bought all her food for the weekend. There was a packet. You might have seen these things. I was fascinated, hadn't really seen them before. A packet, I think it was fish fingers. Well, that was clearly, Friday lunch. And then there was another packet, rice and curry. And there was another packet, something else. She just had to heat them up, apparently. And that was probably the extent of the cooking that she did. Now, she had saved labour. She'd saved time. But I couldn't help thinking, was it really worth it? Would it not have been better for that woman to have cooked properly for her family? What does she do with her spare time? She probably watches telly, or she dusts the sofa for the umpteenth time in the best room. You see, so the question is, when you've saved all this time, what the hell do you do with it? You've then got to occupy yourself. You've got a problem of leisure. You feel bored. So I think we'll have to look very carefully at this question of labour-saving devices. In India, the women go to the well with pots, brass pots, copper pots, and they fetch the water. It gives them exercise. They have a wonderful carriage, a wonderful deportment. It gives them opportunity to meet their friends. So is it really an improvement that each one sits in her own little house or cottage and just turns on a tap? And doesn't get any exercise? Is that really an improvement? I know this sounds a bit reactionary. Don't please take me too literally, but you can see what I'm getting at. So to save labour is not, I think, not so important as we sometimes think it is. I mean, because then what do you do, with your spare time? And surely some of the things which are being done for you by machinery are things which it is good for a human being to do for himself with his own hands, his own feet, his own body or her own body. What about, for instance, picking grapes? Well, what a delightful occupation. Wouldn't it be much better to pick your own grapes than have them harvested by some machine that goes swooping along? I don't know the economics of all this, but I suspect that some revisions, and maybe drastic ones, would be necessary. Yeah? In any case, maybe it's a good thing that this is that the operation is not really economically viable anyway. But yes, it would be a question of priorities. Supposing, yes, you had a certain amount of cash spare, and there was a particularly nasty job that no human being ought to do, and if it is decided objectively that that particular work needs to be done, all right, you can then decide to put your money into a computer which will do that work through machinery for you, so that human beings won't have to do it. But I really think you must be careful of putting your money into machines or computers, technology of any kind, which takes away from the individual human being that work which in a sense is his birthright.